There are many reasons to celebrate Sheikh Nasser al-Sabah's achievement as a patron of art and culture. I am very grateful for this opportunity to talk about his latest contribution. Through the Dar al-Asar al-Islamiyya, Sheikh Nasser, together with Sheikh Hussa, have established a forum for Islamic art of global dimensions. The al-Sabah collection is the first of its kind in the Gulf, has been a groundbreaking initiative also seen in the Arab world. Since the opening of the museum in 1983, and in spite of the destruction and looting it has suffered in 1990, its exhibitions and loot, and in many parts of the world, the series of publications and research, excavation projects have promoted Islamic art and its scholarship. Other collections, private and public, have followed, and interest for the Islamic artistic heritage has taken a shape in the Arab world that I would describe like a movement. When I was invited to write a catalogue of metalwork from the Western Islamic world in the al-Sabah collection, I was, of course, honored to participate to the activities of Dar al-Asar and at the same time to join the company of distinguished scholars whose publications on the collection are a must-reading or were a must-reading in my courses. It has been also a most rewarding experience to compile or to do this work, thanks to the wonderful working atmosphere I encountered at the Dar al-Asar and the efficiency and kindness of the al-Sabah team, who made my work a true pleasure. The writer of a catalogue is obviously a co-author who shares the authorship with the collector who has created and designed the collection. I had already heard about the fabulous personality of Sheikh Nasser, and I found it not the least exaggerated. He was indeed the very special person with great charm and modesty, erudition, and deep thinking I had heard of. As a collector, he showed a youthful enthusiasm about his discoveries and acquisition, and he enjoyed sharing his experiences. I was interested by the breadth of the collection I had to catalogue, which includes pieces of major and minor significance. And I was very interested by what Oliver was saying, the interest for the major pieces and the minor pieces at the same time. And also, besides to see, it covered a large period of time from late antiquity to the late 19th century, thus giving a panoramic perspectives in terms of chronology. But I was particularly excited to see that besides the pieces or the artifacts that bearing illustrious historical names, the collection also included some unpretentious vernacular items. Although these pieces would not be eligible to figure on the cover of art books, they were particularly interesting for me for the poetical inscriptions that have not been read before and that I have been trying to work on for the last 20 years. At the same time, at that time, the pièce de résistance, the crowning piece of the collection, which is depicted on the catalogue, had not come to light yet. When this year arrived, Sheikh Nasser invited me with other colleagues to look at it. It had come on the market together with a remarkable tray that is now in the al-Thani collection. Both, at that time, were heavily covered with thick rust, as you can see, so that apart from the surprising amount of silver inlay, not much was recognizable. In fact, after the first cleaning, I began working on the UR to write my entry, but when the piece was finally cleaned, I had to make important changes in my entry because it looks different after it was completely cleaned. The al-Sabah UR is unique in multiple respects. Its inscription along the shoulder is the earliest of its kind on an Islamic vessel. It carries the date 122 of the Hijrah, which is 740, and attributes the UR to a patron called Muslim ibn could be Han, but who had made it in the city of Baalbek for the Umayyad Caliph Hisham, in Baalbek, which is in today Lebanon, of course. The Caliph Hisham ibn Abd al-Malik ruled between 724 and 743. Yeah, the inscriptions. Although metal vessels inlaid with other metals are known from antiquity and late antiquity, the intensive use of silver and copper here on this object is unparalleled at that period as far as we can tell. No object with such dense silver and copper inlay are known to have been produced until the 12th century. The Sabah ewer incorporates features of early Umayyad architectural decoration, and here I have to change, of early features of early Umayyad architecture decoration. However, it is, and also geometric patterns. However, it takes the geometric style further from the six-pointed to the more complex and more widely used in Islamic art later, the eight-pointed star. Its shape goes back, it has a shape that goes back to Byzantine tradition, as one can tell from this object, and there are quite numerous of them in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So it is akin to this. And interestingly, it's also, the shape continues somehow further in Syria as this ewer or vase, the so-called Barberini vase, produced in the 12th century, shows. The combination of inscription with geometric and stylized symmetrical motifs identify this ewer with Islamic aesthetics, in particular, when compared to the so-called Marwan ewer associated with the last Umayyad Caliph Marwan II and attributed to the same period, excavated in Egypt. As a work of art, the al-Sabah ewer is an extraordinary piece, and it compels us to amend our historiography of Islamic material culture, and it will surely also entail new research on the history of metalwork. Sheikh Nasser's acquisition of the only vessel known to bear the name of an Umayyad Caliph is a most felicitous contribution to the history of Islamic art. And I feel very much with Sheikh Hussa the sadness that he didn't see it published or enjoy its reception in the world of art. However, the name al-Sabah will continue to glow with the name of Hisham in the history of Arab princely patronage of art. Thank you.